unravels all of these things.
It doesn't cut against the practice of marriage. I advocate that the laws should change.
Right. And until the laws change,
men have to decide for themselves.
I think you're skirting the issue.
She is. I advocate that the laws should change. Guys, today I'm reacting to Michael Knowles debates Pearl Davis. I advocate that the laws should change. This is something that you will hear from the red pill a lot. And I mean a lot. To the normal naive red pillar who hasn't got a clue about the feminist agenda, like Pearl does, he thinks this is some kind of holy crusade that will take men into an utopian promised land. I don't believe for 1 second Pearl is that naive, guys. Aside from no-fault divorce, the divorce laws are fine as they are, in my opinion. When Pearl and the red pill say the divorce laws are unfair, they're usually talking about equal custody. Let me tell you why equal custody is a feminist psyop designed to get men to push women further into the workforce. Equal custody goes against the natural order. When a man gets equal custody, he naturally goes against his gender role, which is to protect and provide. Why? Because he will have to sacrifice a considerable amount of time away from work in order to raise the child. And the woman will have to sacrifice time away from being a mother in order to work. What this means for the woman is that the woman is pushed further into the workforce, guys, which goes against her gender role. And the man is pushed further away from the workforce, which goes against his gender role. This arrangement also puts the children, by the way, also puts the children at risk by putting them in the hands of who? Yes, the government. Why? Because what ends up happening, what both mother and father usually will end up doing in order to afford a roof over their heads is work full time. This will mean putting the children in daycare. Exactly. In the hands of who? Strangers. So as you can see, the feminist agenda, guys, is bigger than the big bad woman who uses kids in order to sadistically control the man.
I think that men are tired of being told what to do by women. So I think every man...
What? Who are these men that are tired of women telling them what to do? And why are these men choosing women that are telling them what to do? Don't these men have sense, logic, reason? Aren't these men men? As men, as the leaders, as the stronger, more logical gender, if you are allowing a woman, the follower, the weaker, the more emotional gender tell you what to do, then who's really to blame? The weaker, the more emotional gender, or the stronger, more logical gender? The answer is obvious. The men. All right? This, to me, sounds like she's speaking for men. If I'm going to be all the way honest. It sounds like she's speaking for men.
And has to decide. Do you disagree that every man should decide for himself what makes sense in his life?
I do. I think men ought to do what's right.
Okay. And you know what's right.
I hope I do. I hope I've cultivated my faculties of reason and moral conscience to such a degree that they can correspond with God's grace and basically lead me right. Yeah.
Oh. I mean, it almost sounds like you're playing God.
Wow. Whoa. You see, what Pearl just did there, guys, is called sign language. For those that don't know what sign language is shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. It's a tactic employed usually by modern women when they are losing a debate. Guys, I'm going to be all the way honest with you guys. This debate was very hard to watch. Pearl was extremely disrespectful and unpleasant. This guy couldn't finish a sentence without her interrupting. It was really, 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 really hard to watch.
No, but I hope that I'm cooperating with God. And I'm a rational creature made in the image and likeness of God. Okay. And that fact is borne out in my reason, which is what we're supposedly here to do. And the fact, Pearl, that you keep backing away from using our reason to come to certain judgments about how men ought to behave and about good and bad and right and wrong seems to me a denial of what is basically the premise of any conversation, which is that we can know something about reality and come to conclusions about it. And I think you do come to those conclusions, but then you evade the responsibility for it by saying, I just tell men to do what they do.
No, I think that...
Facts. Facts, 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 facts. Pearl is always telling men what to do and pretending that she's not telling men what to do. This is what she does. This is called deception, guys. If you don't know, this is called deception. Here's an example of what she does. She'll say something like, I'm not against marriage. I just think 95% of women are bad. And the 5% of women that are left cannot be trusted. I think it's in the men's best interest not to get married in 2024. But I don't tell men what to do. Did you see what she just did there? She just found a way of telling men what to do without telling them what to do. But to the average man, to the average guy, this is how he understands it. There are no good women because all women are bad, so I shouldn't get married. That's how the average man understands it. So this is how she manages to tell men what to do without coming across as if she's telling men what to do.
Facts don't care about your religion. So I think facts don't care about the way you feel about them.
What do you think a fact is? What do you think a fact is?
That women are paid to leave marriages. That's just a fact.
I thought
yeah. And so, I mean, that's just a fact. And the way you...
Facts don't care about your religion. Okay. I don't agree with that. I don't think women are paid to leave marriages. Women are paid to be the caretakers of the next generation, according to their natural biological role and duty, especially during divorce. If we are starting to say that women should fend for themselves after divorce, what we are essentially doing is reinforcing the feminist agenda, which is to push women further into the workforce. This is what divorce reform will basically lead us to.
Feel about it doesn't change the way it is.
Actually, the way that I feel, which I like to think I've arrived at that through reason, so I think it's tethered to something, real, does affect the way that I behave. And the way that I behave does, to some degree, affect the social circumstances in which we all live. So in a way, actually, a friend of mine says facts don't care about your feelings. But politics largely cares about your feelings. And your feelings are cultivated through virtuous and vicious habits. And being selfish and sleeping around and not getting married and not having kids is vicious. Getting married is very virtuous.
I don't say that men should sleep around.
But you say they shouldn't get married if you were to give advice, which you don't.
I say that men should be extremely cautious when getting married. I say they should vet women heavily. And if there are not enough wives, that might not be the way that they end up going.
So what should they do then?
What should they do, Pearl? Exactly. What should they do if there are not enough good wives, according to you, Pearl? What do you think men should do if not live a promiscuous lifestyle? You see how her entire ideology falls apart? Not to mention the fact that this idea that there are not enough good women is nothing more than really and truly a feminist propaganda to make men abandon marriage and use women for sex only, which is what's happening today. What should they do, Pearl? The answer is they're going to be promiscuous. So when Pearl says, I don't advocate for men to be promiscuous, she's being disingenuous and lying. Because if you're telling men not to get married, that's exactly what's going to end up happening. But she will never admit to that. Because that will basically expose her agenda.
It's so interesting. It always goes back to that, like me telling them what to do. Every guy's got to decide for himself.
In Pearl World, which we were living in Pearl World earlier, then what would men do if they begged you for advice?
I would say go talk to a preacher, your pastor, a preacher.
I thought facts don't care about your religion.
Yeah, so did I. Isn't that what she said? Facts don't care about your religion.
Or your father. Or look, I just don't. Again, I'm not in the business of telling men what to do, and that's just not.
But I think you kind of are.
Who is she trying to convince? Shout outs to you, Michael Knowles. Who is she trying to convince, her or us? At this point, I think she's just looking ridiculous, guys. It's clear to anyone with two eyes that she is in the business of telling men what to do. I see it. Michael knows sees it. I know you guys see it. Most men see it. Throughout the entire podcast, I'm telling you, she's been telling men what to do, whilst pretending that she's not telling men what to do.
Not really. Not really. I just don't think.
Do you have any?
Because it depends on the guy. How do because you would first ask like what their situation is. Every person has a different situation.
But every man we're talking about is a man. And there are some things that are common to men, like human nature.
Very, very disrespectful. She does it all throughout the entire debate. Right now, she's upset that Michael Knowles called her out on her bullshit about how she doesn't advise men when she blatantly does. And now he's reminding her that she is a woman and not a man. There are things that are only common to men, like male human nature. And as a woman, you wouldn't know what that is or understand. Anyways, guys, this was a hard watch, not gonna lie. But nevertheless, very revealing debate. I hope you guys enjoy the reaction. Now, make sure you guys don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Solution Podcast. And yeah, I'll see you next reaction, guys. Peace.